and overshadowed. And so I just wanted to say one of the biggest parts of getting an audition is following the directions of that audition and making sure that you're delivering what they asked for and not what you think they want or what you think they need to see. Because when it comes to getting a casting submitted, there's a lot of different people involved at looking at the information that comes in and picking who gets the opportunity. And with that being said, at a certain point, they don't want a deep dive. They just want to see who is the person. What do you look like? Because if you don't even look like the role or look the part, they're not going to look at the rest of your media. So the best thing you can do is read the breakdown and deliver as directly as possible exactly what they're looking for in as little amount of time as possible. Because the longer you wait, the longer you give for someone else to take the opportunity. And it's just a matter of numbers and submissions. If 100 people submit it and 50 of them submit it in the first 12 hours and the other 50 submit it in the next 3 days, the first 50 people already were seen. So you have less of a chance of getting seen. And that's why time is of the essence and also following directions. So if someone asks for a specific thing, they don't have to go looking and searching for it. If someone asks for a headshot and you send them your modeling profile, they're going to be like, I don't, you're asking me to pick a picture, and all of these are modeling pictures. I need a headshot that I can send over to a casting director who wants to see what you look like next to the leading lady, just in the face. Like, and it's not a problem to give extra stuff. It's just sometimes if it's not asked for, you're making the casting director or the casting team do more work than they're trying to do. And not to say, oh, well, they need to not be lazy, because if you have 100 people submit and every person gave you more information than what you asked for, or sent you their website or sent you their profile instead of just sending you their pictures, that's 100 websites that you have to go to, as opposed to just looking directly at the picture that you asked to be sent. And you're telling me to pick which picture you think represents you in this character because I don't know you. So what you give me is my first impression of you. And if the first picture on the profile is you in on the beach, it's like this has nothing to do with the person who works in this attorney office. Like, and that's why following the directions is so important. Sometimes casting will send an email and then tell you to message them at a different email to accept it, or tell you that this is the contact number for when you get to the location. And if you get to the location and you reach out to the wrong person, you're going to be putting things behind because exact details matter a lot because there's a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. And if there's 100 people and 3 people who have to exchange information for all 100 people, that's 300 actions that have to happen. And you're giving them extra work because you don't want to follow directions exactly. And again, I'm not trying to say this in any type of, oh, I'm an almighty authority or I even end up upset about it. But as an actor, there's been times where I've reached out to productions and they told me, oh, the information was here. And I realized like I either missed an opportunity or I was late to production or late to set because of a small detail, or I was waiting for a check, or I was waiting for confirmation of a fitting. Just there's been times where I've been waiting 2, 3 days for something that I thought should have been processed. And the thing is, I sent a message or I did respond, but I didn't send it to the right place. Or I sent them part of what they asked for, or I sent them more than what they asked for. And by the time they saw the video they asked for, they had already seen 3 videos that didn't correspond. So they didn't continue. And so sometimes you can overload casting by sending too much information and too many details because they'll get to watching more than what they asked for and decide you're not the part without watching what you actually submitted for the part, if that makes sense. With so much stuff to see before they get to the intended selection, they've already seen more than they wanted to see. And I guess sometimes it doesn't matter because if you were it and right, all of your videos would align. But the point of the matter is to get to the best part of the audition and exactly what they're asking for easily. So with this, one thing I wanted to talk about is just things that actors need to understand, man. And following directions is a big part of an audition, not just acting. So if someone hits you and they ask for a headshot, they ask for your contact info, a self tape, and a slate. That's all they want: a headshot, your contact info, a self tape, and a slate. Or if they just ask for a slate and a headshot, that's all they want. And that's something I had to learn because with my slate, it was just simply, I would say, hi, my name is Charles Wright, or I would just say, hey, how you guys doing today? And sometimes the slate would just say name, location. And I would say, my name is Charles Wright. I'm from Worcester, Ohio. And long story short, my manager now was like, stop with the long greeting. And if it just says name, address, and height, just say that. If it says name and location, just say that. Don't always say your name, your location, and your height, and stop saying hi, how are you, or hey guys, how you doing? All of that stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, okay. As soon as I stopped doing that, I started getting more callbacks. It was as simple as that. It is actually crazy, for real, for real. But with that being said, is simply just following directions because with casting, they see 1,000,005 tapes and 1,000,005 people. And so the quicker you can get to the point and get to exactly what they asked you for, the quicker that their job will be done, especially if you're right. So if you are right for the part, they don't want to see you talk for a minute and a half. They just want to see you do the part right so they can stop looking at the rest of these tapes. And if you're wrong, they just want to hurry up and get done looking at your tape. So the quicker that you can just give them a clean run through of what they ask for, the best for the both of you. Because also, if you're quick and concise, they're going to know one, you follow directions, two, you know how to follow directions, and three, you were right for the part, right? And that's why you jump straight into it. And so, with that, you have to send exactly what they ask for, not everything they ask for, except that, right? And you start to kind of create friction if they have to ask you again. And most of the time in this industry is so fast paced, they're not going to ask you again. If you don't send something right the first time, they're just going to move on. The only way they double back is if they perfectly like selected you, or if they didn't find the right thing. You might get lucky if they don't find the right person. But usually, if you submit within that window and they don't get what they want, they're just going to move on. And that's why following the directions is so important because you're not always going to get a second chance and a second opportunity. And I feel like that's something a lot of people don't realize because sometimes it seems like there's so many jobs out here. You can go on IMDb, you can go on Backstage, you can go on casting networks, and you'll see a bunch of opportunities. But a lot of it's the same casting directors, a lot of it's the same casting teams, and the same producers. And they're going to remember the people who showed up and who wasted their time, and the ones who showed up and delivered what they asked for concisely. And so, a personal little affect, I literally just had this happen and it was for a project I couldn't attend anymore. I accidentally got double booked in studio life. You feel me? And I reached out to some fellow actors and just was like, "Yo, is anybody available?" And I had two or three people respond, and I hit all three of them and said the same exact thing. I need one male actor on set tomorrow. It's paid opportunity, and they said, "All right, cool." And so I said, "All right, bet. Send me a headshot and send me your contact information. Your yo, I'm doing something. I'll call you back in a second." Bet. And so I hit them and I was like, "Send me your contact info and send me a headshot." And one dude, three contact or three photos, easy, three headshots, boom, professional. The headshots were professional. You could tell, good lighting, everything, boom. His email, his phone number, already had his name. Put that in a document to send over. Hit the other actor, same thing. Contact info, a headshot. I got a link to a website. I was like, all right, can I get your contact information and send over like separate headshots in a picture, like JPEG form? I got a text that said all the information is on that link, but I'm trying to create it. Now I have to explain. I'm trying to create a simple one page with all the possibilities, their contact information, and one or two pictures. And then I'll have to send that and wait for you to get it back to me. Casting is actively looking to get this figured out within the next 12 hours, right? And it's not to say, oh, hurry up and do it or rush, but it's like, I need the direct information because it's not a submission. We're not asking for more media, more content. I just need a photo, a name, and your contact information. Because if the photo is right, they're just going to contact you. And if they want to see more, they'll contact you after having the photo and they have your contact information. They're not asking me to send them a submission of reels and websites and photos. They just want pictures of actors who fit the role and are available tomorrow. And so this is what I'm just saying. It's very important to send direct information because I sent his information and I sent the other guy. The other guy gave me 3 direct headshots and all his contact information, and they could look at that and call him or email him or go on his Instagram and reach out to him. The other guy, I sent his phone number and the one picture he sent me. And I sent his phone number because he texted me after I put up the message. And he hit me up through 2 different places, social media and my text. I ended up with one picture, no email, and no handle. I understand that I know what your Instagram is. And if I went through my email, I could find your email. But this is a direct casting submission. And I don't know if the email you use for acting is the same email that you use for music. Like, there's just so many variables to it that I'm like, I'm going to submit exactly what you sent me, homie, which is fine. But I know that casting wants this figured out ASAP. So the quicker I can give them a direct JPEG with the contact information they asked for, the easier it's going to be. And so don't get me wrong, casting profiles matter, but context is the most important. If this was an online casting submission where they were looking to cast a role and they needed to see what you're like on camera, how good you are at speaking, like all of those things, yes, you send your casting profile, you send your online website. But if someone is asking for a direct submit to set, you send exactly what they're asking for. Exactly. You send the headshot and your contact information, and you send it as quick as possible because they're trying to book this right now. And if they could book it based off of your look, that's fine. And if they think you already look the part and you have a direct submit, which means you've been directly recommended for the part, then all you have to do is wait for them to ask you to give them something else. So I don't know if people realize how much work goes behind the scenes in trying to figure out what goes into this production and that production. But the coordinating producers, the casting assistants, and everybody, they're so overwhelmed and they're overworked. If you send links and they have to click one link to go to another link and to click this to click play, they're going to move on to the next one, especially if they have 50 people and 20 people did exactly what they said and 30 people did some variation of. They're going to go through the 20 people first. And if they don't find what they're looking for in the first 20, then they'll get to the other 30. But if they find what they were looking for in even 5 or 10 of those 20, they're going to pick one of them unless they all sucked. But that's almost a 50-50 chance. So you do yourself a 100% favor by following the directions 100% right the first time. And that's why I say following directions is probably the biggest part of doing an audition. Because if they open up the tape and you start off doing the opposite of what they asked for, they're going to assume that the acting was bad because you probably didn't even read the script right because you're not following directions. And even if you do read the script right, but you don't follow any of the directions, they're going to assume you might not follow directions on set. So this is might be harder than it needs to be. The actors who make their lives easier get remembered. If you can make the casting director's life easier, the producer's life easier, the actual director's life easier, if you can make anybody's anything easier on set, they're gonna remember you. And it's not always talent that gets you in the room. Sometimes it's the professionalism that gets you in the room. And it's definitely the professionalism that gets you called back. There's one thing to do a job, it's another thing to do a job well. You feel me? The person who does a job well is going to be remembered. The person who just does the job but leaves a mess in the room while doing it, I might just pay more to have somebody else do it in the future. And I'm definitely going to think about using somebody different. And I feel like sometimes as creators, we lose opportunities because we overcomplicate simple tasks. If a brand says send a 30-second vertical talking, send a 30-second vertical, send a 30-second clip, not a 38-second clip, not a 45-second clip. Even if you record a 35, a 65, a 70-second clip, we all have editing devices, our phones. We all have editing software, our phones, and you can cut that easily. So if they ask for a certain amount of time, give them that. Don't send something cinematic. Don't send a whole bunch of transitions and cuts and fades. Don't shoot the video. This is another one that I've gotten. I've sent somebody a video description and I asked them to send me an audition, and it specifically said either vertical or horizontal. I've had it happen both ways where I asked for it to be horizontal and the video is like this up and down. The first thing I say is I can't send this over because they're not going to even watch it because it's not in the right format. And then other times I've had people shoot it vertical and I'm like, they're not going to accept this because they can't see your full body. They want to see more than your head. And it's an interesting world right now because UGC and with cell phones, a lot of videos and a lot of ads look the way this looks on my TikTok right now. And so if you do UGC work or if you do vertical films, you get used to shooting like this a lot. But then when you start doing corporate commercial auditions and like film auditions, they want you to turn the camera vertical, I mean horizontal again. And so like it's really easy if you come from one world to transition to the other and not know what to expect. And that's why following the directions is so important and reading all of the instructions is so important. And also don't over edit. Don't do much editing at all because they're not trying to see an edited video. They just want to hear you clearly. They want to see you clearly. And you don't need to do any on-screen over text unless they ask for it. And it's like the simpler you make your video, the easier you make it for them to do their casting. But yeah, let's transition. What will happen if I do this? I don't know what's about to happen. I just started I just started a live while on live. I don't think it's gonna connect. No, it's not gonna connect. But yeah, so one thing about me, I've been a professional actor for the last 10 years. And for the last I guess the last 2 years, and prior to that, 3 years before that, I worked as a full-time actor for 2 years, and then COVID, and then I worked for 3 years, and so the last 2 years full-time actor again. And it's definitely been an interesting journey. It's definitely been fun. And I've definitely learned a lot along the way, both in the sense of one, acting, two, management, submissions, three, life, bro. And right now, just the whole entertainment industry and how the transition from like horizontal and regular film and TV is going into verticals and phone content and like to see live streamers replacing actors and like brand deals and hosts and stuff. And even seeing Drewski's like sketch comedy go as big as it does, not saying anything against sketch comedy, but the fact that he's a vertical comedy like shorts guy who's made a lane as a YouTube artist doing horizontal content and now is on like par to do big hosting for BT events and stuff like that. And so it's just like interesting to see the transition and even like Kai Cenat and IShow Speed becoming some of the biggest names in entertainment in a sense. And it's all through forms of video and even DDD. My mom knows who that is, and seeing them create entertainment platforms outside of the traditional. And it's just cool to know, like as a professional actor, I've been paid to be on Kai Cenat's stream. So to see like that revenue stream open up in that cycle. And so it's just very interesting. Very interesting. I think that'd probably be the most interesting thing I've seen in my time out here is the transition from like traditional in-person auditions to everything being video submissions and just camera tapes and stuff like that. And you don't even have to go to the location in order to get cast and booked for something anymore. You can send them some, like literally like a week or two ago, I got cast for a project for a corporate per, you feel me? You see, I'm not gonna say too much, but everybody's favorite cup. Yeah, feel me? And it was just from a picture. It was a last minute call, and all they asked for was a picture. And it was 2 days. I sent the picture that night. The next day, I got a call and asked if I was available the next day. It's as fast as that. It's as simple as that sometimes. But that's after showing proof that you can do the job and having my manager knowing that I was available and I could do the job, submitted me with no issue, no problem, right? And that was me following directions. And I just sent the exact pictures they asked for, exactly how they asked for it, and the orientation that they asked for it. My manager didn't have to send another message and say, send that again or send this way, or can you send that differently? Because they gave clear, direct instructions on exactly what they wanted. And so following directions is the biggest part of the audition. Where you at? You trying to go on live with me? I'm just about to play some videos off of TikTok and Instagram. The shit that I saw that I wanted to react to or laugh at or talk about. I I'm about to send you a link. Look at it while I'm on the phone. I found this shit out not that long ago. This is how I be going live, dog. I be using my phone. What you say? I said this is how I be going live. I just be using my phone. All right. You sent it? No, I'm pushing it now. Oh, join that link. You said what? Join that link. You said I hope you join that link. Want to hear something real quick? You about to play a song? Yeah. Fuck no. I'm playing, dog. Is it join now or do I got? Oh. Yeah, you got to hit join now. Hold on. Let me. I'll play it after. Give me 1 second. Wait, did you click it?
Let me fix. Yeah, I have to fix the camera thing in my browser.
Yay. I'm about to hang up. Or hang up. Say something. Just as soon as he was there, that nigga disappeared.
Hello?
What happened?
I'm turning on my camera.
Oh, all right. I was say you was there and then you wasn't.
All right, hold on. Let me see. It still says the camera thing.
Did you get on your computer?
No.
You hear twice now.